empowered people empower people. And I have found that to be deeply true in my life. Hey friends, and welcome to the Empowered Life podcast. I'm your host, Meredith Murray, and I am so grateful you're here. So as we kick things off, I just want to take a few minutes to share more about who I am and why this podcast exists and what I hope that it will stir in you. So I'm a wife of 25 years, married to my very best friend. I'm a mom to 3 amazing kids. They're not kids anymore, but they're always my kids. And I've had the privilege of spending the last 25 years wearing many different hats, whether I'm in the classroom or churches, nonprofits, or just in the community, walking alongside people from all different walks and seasons of life. And like many of you, through it all, I have wrestled with questions like, what is my purpose? And what is my calling in this? And I believe that there is something inside each of us that longs to live a life that matters. And so along the way, what I have seen is that each one of us is very uniquely wired. We have specific gifts, passions, resources, experiences, and even pain, and none of it is wasted. The highs and the lows and the victories and the struggles, all of it is what shaped who I am. But this is the thing, it's not just for me. See, I was created to live a life that reaches beyond myself, and so were you. So another thing that I've discovered in all of that is that you don't have to have it all figured out first in order to make a difference. You don't have to have a platform or even a plan. You really just have to be willing to show up and trust God and keep taking the next right step that's in front of you. And so what I found is that impact really begins with obedience, and it's not about perfection. So my life has been radically transformed by Jesus and by the people that he's placed in my path. These are people who chose to see me and to encourage me and to challenge me and just walk with me through the broken and the beautiful parts of my life. And so that's really why I believe so deeply in the power of presence. Because I've seen it in my own life. I've seen the power that comes from the people God has put in my life. I believe in the power of mentoring and the power of just pouring into others. Not when you feel perfect or prepared, but just when you show up with whatever you have. So one of the most defining moments in my life recently was when I linked arms with Allies in Youth Development. So Allies is a nonprofit that's committed to mentoring the most vulnerable, which are orphans and at-risk youth around the world. Their hearts are literally broken for the 1.4, imagine that number, 1.4 million children today who are growing up without a family, without the love and safety and guidance of having people in their life. And y'all, that's not just a statistic. Those are real kids whose safety and stability and sense of worth and future really depends on somebody that's going to show up for them. So in April, I had the opportunity to travel with Allies on a missions trip to Peru. And while we were there, we visited several of these orphanages in order to meet with the local mentors who are serving the orphans and the vulnerable children in that area. And what I saw in them truly forever changed me. Y'all, these mentors, many of them are in their early 20s. They're not professionals. They're not trained counselors. They're really just everyday people who have made a decision to show up. And so that's what they do. Month after month, they consistently return to the same orphanages and they just pour out love and encouragement and support to these kids who have truly just been abandoned and forgotten. And many of them are dealing with trauma and abuse that is just beyond our comprehension. So as I met with these mentors, I think the part that truly just left me speechless is that many of them were once orphans themselves. And so I sat and I listened as they shared how years ago someone from Allies showed up for them. It was a mentor who saw them, who spoke life into them and believed in their future, even when they couldn't even imagine life outside of an orphanage. There was actually one woman who told me that if it was not for her Allies mentor, she did not think she would still be alive today. Others said that it was their mentor's presence that just gave them hope and helped them to heal and set them on a new path. And so now they're doing the same for the next generation. I mean, talk about a full circle moment. So when I asked these mentors, why do they keep showing up? Why do you do what you do? The answer was unanimous and it was profound. And what they said was, because this is where I find my healing and my purpose. And so y'all, they've discovered what many of us are still learning, and that is that healing and purpose, it doesn't come always from focusing inwards. And sometimes the most powerful transformation happens when we step outside of ourselves and we give what we have to someone else. And that is where we can find purpose and where we can find healing. And that's really where God moves. And so their words really echoed something that I've experienced personally. And that is that when we step outside of ourselves and we pour into someone else's life, something inside us begins to come alive. And we find peace and we find what we've been longing for. And y'all, that is the heartbeat of this show. So one phrase that has become an anchor and is really the mission of this podcast is that empowered people empower people. And I have found that to be deeply true in my life. Y'all, I've walked through challenging seasons like all of us, times of loss and disappointment, moments that could have easily left me feeling stuck and bitter or full of fear. There were doors that I prayed and prayed would open that stayed shut, and there were others that opened wide and led me to amazing opportunities. And looking back, I can see just this common thread of God's faithfulness in all of it, and how he used the highs, the mountaintops, and then he also used the valleys to shape and strengthen and truly empower me. And it was never just about me. You see, God doesn't empower us just so we can live more comfortable, confident, easy lives. He empowers us so that we can then pour that out, so we can step into someone else's story and give them whatever it is that we've been given. And now I know that all of it, every experience, every lesson, it was all meant to be used. It's like it says in 1 Peter 4:10, it says that each of us should use whatever gift we have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. That's the call. That's the pattern. Whatever we receive, we're meant to give away. So what you have been given is meant to be used. So when I say empowered people empower people, what I mean is that what God has done in you, through healing and grace and redemption and strength, he now wants to do through you. You see, every setback that it didn't take you out, you're still here. Every lesson you've learned, maybe even the hard way, every bit of freedom and victory that you've tasted, those are not just for you to keep. They're tools in your hands to serve and to guide and to love and to bless someone else. So maybe you're hearing this and you're thinking, yes, one day when I have it all figured out, or when life gets a little easier, then I'll step into my purpose and my calling. But here's the thing, you might be waiting for a really long time, because we are all a work in progress. There's always more to learn. There's always more to grow, more to heal. And that does not disqualify us. It actually qualifies us. So if you're waiting to have all the answers and just to have a problem-free, easy life, it's going to be a while, because that's just life. That's just the life we live. But regardless of whatever season you're in, we don't have to sit by the sidelines and wait in order for us to start living out the life that God's called us to. In fact, some of the most powerful moments of transformation come when we do just simply show up right where we are, just as we are. And when we do that, we find that it can actually be the catalyst for the growth and the healing and the purpose that we've been longing for. So that's what I believe this show is all about. It's encouraging you to recognize that what you carry is powerful, and that your story matters, and that you are empowered. What you've been through and what you've been blessed with might be the very thing that someone else needs to see and know that they're not alone. So we're not just called to be empowered, we're actually called to live empowered so that others might too. So what's this show all about? This podcast is going to be a place for us to share real stories. These are going to be stories of transformation, healing, faith, and impact. And we're going to talk about purpose, and not in like the cliche buzzword kind of way, but in a real way of life kind of way. And you're going to hear from mentors and leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs, experts, pastors, dreamers, doers, and really just everyday people like you and me who have just chosen to say yes, even when it's hard and when they didn't feel ready. And so what I pray is that these stories will remind you that that can be you too. And so here's what I hope you walk away with every week, that you will feel and know that you are empowered and that you'll recognize that there is something inside of you that this world needs. We hope that you feel stirred to live a bold, intentional life of purpose, and that you'll recognize that someone else's breakthrough might be just on the other side of your obedience. You see, our lives are made to overflow, and when it does, it creates ripples of change that you might not even fully see the impact on this side of heaven, but they matter more than you know. So let's do this together. If this resonates with you, and if you are ready to live an empowered life, to say yes to purpose, and to be a part of something bigger than yourself, I would love for you to come along on this journey with me. Follow the podcast, share it with a friend, connect with us on Instagram at the Empowered Life Podcast. And I just think it'd be so cool if we could just build a community of empowered people that pour out what God has poured in. And so if this resonates with you today, here's what I want you to do. I want you to comment, "I'm in." And then I want you to tag a friend. Maybe someone who's living a life that inspires you, or it's someone who's empowered you. And let's cheer each other on, because empowered people empower people. And y'all, we're just getting started. So thank you so much for being here. I'm so honored to walk alongside you. Let's go live empowered. See you next time.